folks. Here we go. It's a Wednesday morning here on the Spice Island. They're beautiful, beautiful. I'm tired of saying that. Beautiful sunny skies. Yesterday we had some clouds, but they're gone, and sunshine's back in all its glory. Thank you very much for joining us for today's edition of Gudday Grenada. As always, we got some fun lined up for you, but we also have some sad stuff. Let's take a look at the rundown. As you look at the site here this morning, you probably see a caption which says, "One beach, one weekend, 3 deaths." Hang on there for just a sec. You'll find out what that's all about. I'm also going to ask you to do yourself a favor today. Yeah? Get a checkup. Again, we'll give you the details about that in just a wee bit. And words out, yeah, despite all, despite all the talk and the apparent animosity between Prime Minister and LIAT, I see here, as of yesterday, that government is set to make contribution to LIAT. Ain't that interesting? We have a little release on that, which I'm also sure you're going to be hearing about in the national report, but I'll try and share the release with you just in case you don't. And of course, our main feature this morning, Lady Sherron goes center stage. Yes, sirree, she's here in all her glory, true to her promise. I'll be with you every Wednesday morning. Hey, yeah. And even when she's not here, look, the staff member she gave to me, he's here. Yeah, I forgot his name. What's his name? Kelly. Kelly. And Kelly was born on December 19th, 2017. Say hi, Kelly. Okay, folks, let's get down to brass tacks. Not very good news for fans of Lassagess Beach. Up to yesterday, the Grenada Coast Guard was searching for an 87-year-old American who was reported missing while swimming at Lassagess. According to the police, the search is continuing for Byron Joseph, who arrived here with his family on vacation and experienced difficulty while swimming in choppy waters. Police also say that another person, whom they have not identified, also died at the beach last Saturday, and that they are also investigating the death of 67-year-old U.S. citizen Scott Fitzpatrick, who was also swimming at the Lassagess Beach on Sunday. Hey? Kind of sad story there this morning. Scary. A lot of stuff happening on the water. Just last Thursday, I think it was, we had Clinton Bailey. By the way, you should see Facebook this morning. It's a buzz with people saluting and complimenting Clinton for having rescued those 3 fishermen from St. Patrick. Now, Kidney Foundation, they're holding a health fair, and they asked me to let you know about it. That's why I said, do yourself a favor, have a little checkup, okay? As you scoot around town today, you may wish to do a good deed for yourself. Yes, sir. The Grenada Kidney Patient Foundation, they're going to be holding their annual health fair at the usual location. That's right in front of Purcell's and the Voyager on Granby Street. Is that Granby Street, or is that the foot of Market Hill? I'm not sure which one. Is there such a thing as the foot of Market Hill? But you know where I'm talking about, right? Just across from the market. And just stop by. You can have your blood pressure checked, glucose levels tested, eyes and breasts examined. There are going to be counselors and doctors on hand. Best of all, it's free. Okay? By the way, it's going to run until about 3 o'clock this afternoon. Okay? Now, it's 5 minutes after 9 o'clock Here is the release I told you about pertaining to LIAT. The government of Grenada has announced its intention to make a cash contribution to LIAT by the end of this month. Trade and Industry Minister Oliver Joseph said the decision was made at Monday's cabinet meeting. Making the announcement, Monday's cabinet meeting. Making the announcement on Tuesday, that's yesterday, at the weekly post-cabinet briefing. Joseph said that government's decision comes against the backdrop of agreement by CARICOM heads of government at their recent intersessional meeting that LIAT should be restructured. Where have we heard that before? For how long have we been hearing about the restructuring of LIAT? Anyway, Mr. Joseph says, Grenada has always maintained that we would like to see LIAT continue to serve the people of the region. But in order for us to contribute state resources to LIAT, the airline must be restructured and operated in a manner that ensures sustainability. The value of government's contribution is yet to be determined, as they are awaiting information from the regional airline. Joseph said that the amount of money that will be contributed will be based on the information submitted to government by LIAT's board, and they hope to receive that information very shortly. So that by the end of the month, they can make a cash contribution. In addition to the cash payment this month, government is also willing to pay LIAT additional funds based on load factor. Now, he went on to explain that concept. He says, if, for example, LIAT is operating between Trinidad and Grenada, and that route is unprofitable, government will pay to ensure that the airline breaks even on that particular route. Government is also hopeful that going forward, there will be a financial turnaround for LIAT. Don't we all hope so? Mr. Joseph explained that if you're operating a business, you have to ensure that it is sustainable over the long run. And government has to ensure sound financial management and reporting from the LIAT board. It is also their position that there should be no, this is the part I found kind of hilarious. It is also government's position that there should be no political interference in the management of the regional airline. I wondered, how come they had to stick that in the release? Something I don't know? Well, I don't know. That's going to take care of our little introduction. Now, let's turn to the left here, take a look at the iPad, see what's going on Facebook. Okie dokie dokie doke. TF says, good morning, Gigi and the gang from a sunny but no, that's not TF. TF says, he says it feels like Alaska in New York this morning. Good. Freeze your Twinkies off. See if I care. You heard what the weather's like down here? Sunny and warm. Then, I'm just kidding, TF. John out there in Caracas says, good morning, Gigi and the gang from a sunny but windy parish, number 7. John, you're going to see the winds picking up a lot now. You know, usually leading up to Easter, we have quite a lot of winds here. For kite flying, what do you expect? By the way, when are you coming down again? We got to go check out that little restaurant again downtown, eh? Margaret says, good morning, companions in crime. Hope all is well with everyone. Well, girl, now that you're here, we're hunky-dory. Everything's fine. Thanks for coming. Nesta. Hello, Nesta. Nesta is out there in Zurich, Switzerland, and she is saying, Mowning, M-A-W-N-I-N-G, Mowning, happy and blessed day, George, and all, from a sunny Switzerland. Nesta, I don't know how warm it is there, but send some of that to our friend in New York, TF. Margaret says, when will we stop throwing money down LIAT's black hole? I staying out of that one. John says, Trinidad and Tobago sold its LIAT shares. I wonder why. I don't know. They saw something that the others haven't. By the way, I think I saw, I don't remember, I think it was last night I saw something where the LIAT pilots are calling for an audit of LIAT. T.F. Richard says, are we dumb or plain stupid? You're injecting money into something that has been operating at a loss for as long as I can remember, whilst at the same time, it is your very own taxation that is killing it. TF, you're too smart for your own good. You're giving big concessions to foreign companies, and the very thing that needs this concession, you ain't given nothing. Pure jackacidness. Jackacidness. J-A-C-K-A-S-S-E. No, not jackacid. It's jackassness. J-A-C-K-A-S-S-N-E-S-S. Well, Webster, there you go. You can put that one in your dictionary because I've never heard this one before. Oy, 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 oy. I hope Webster is watching this program. He goes on to say, the Jamaicans have a saying, dance a yard before you dance abroad. Guess the fiscal space allows it. And John is responding to me here by saying, yeah, he's going to come down to Grenada soon. Thanks a lot, John. Good to see you. Pilgrim Zoe, it's now 13 minutes after the hour. Let me take a first little break here. Then we'll come back with the National Report.
Juve chocolates, cocoa nibs, and cocoa balls from Diamond Estate Grenada are now available at Amazon.com, Amazon.ca, Amazon.co.uk, and GrenadaMarket.com. Try the sensational touch of nutmeg and a touch of ginger chocolates, 75% dark and rich, 100% pure cocoa, and their 60% dark and sweet chocolate bars today. Amazon Prime members enjoy free shipping on these orders in the USA, Canada, and Europe. GrenadaMarket.com. When you can't come to the island, the products of the island will come to you.
I'm always on the move. Training, traveling, competing. So it's good to know I have Coop Bank in the palm of my hand.
Introducing e-banking, one of many customer convenience services from Grenada Cooperative Bank, and there's more to come.
It's swift, simple, and secure.
Welcome home.
Hey, Lynn.
Hey, neighbor.
Here's the bill I asked you to pay for me.
How did you get your electricity bill to be so low?
For one, we size our transformers just for what we need. And we unplug transformers, chargers, and other devices when they're not in use. We also replaced our light bulbs with LEDs.
They burn less energy, right?
Much less. I even replaced the seal on my refrigerator door to keep the cold air in.
And Grenlec is always advising us not to open the fridge too often.
That's right. And my family washes and irons in bulk.
With fuel prices changing all the time, how do you know if it is working?
We pay attention to the usage history table. Over time, our average usage has decreased.
So while Grenada can't control fuel prices, I can conserve energy and save money.
Grenelec, energizing our Grenada.
Government announces intention to make a cash contribution to LIAT by month end. We'll have details to this story and more in the national report. Welcome back with the details for today, Tuesday, March 5th. I am Rikisha St. Louis. The government of Grenada has announced its intention to make a cash contribution to LIAT by the end of this month. Minister of Trade, Industry, Cooperatives and CARICOM Affairs, Honorable Oliver Joseph, said the decision was made at Monday's cabinet meeting. Making the announcement on Tuesday at the weekly post-cabinet press brief, Honorable Joseph said government's decision comes against the backdrop of agreement by CARICOM heads of government at their recent intersessional meeting that LIAT should be restructured.
For Grenada, we have always maintained that we would like to see LIAT continues to serve the people of the region. But in order to contribute resources, state resources to LIAT, the airline must be restructured and operate in a way that ensures sustainability. So we will, as a government, make a cash contribution to LIAT this month. And going forward, we will pay LIAT additional funds based on load factor. What a load factor means. So if LIAT is operating, for example, from Trinidad to Grenada, on flights that they claim to be unprofitable, the government will then pay to ensure that at least the airline break even on that particular route. And we have asked for LIAT board to submit a formula to us so that we can examine it and contribute to the success of LIAT, because we would not like to see LIAT go down.
The value of government's contribution is yet to be determined as they are awaiting information from the regional airline. Government is hopeful that going forward there will be a financial turnaround for LIAT.
We cannot every year just put money into a business. If you're operating a business, then you have to ensure that the business is one that is sustainable in the long run. And therefore, we want to ensure that we have some financial reporting and financial management from LIAT board.
It is also government's position that there should be no political interference in the management of the regional airline. The first zonal meet in preparation for the April 5th National Secondary School Games begins this week with the Southern Zonal Meet at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium from 9 a.m. on Thursday. Chief Education Officer in the Ministry of Education, Human Resource Development and Religious Affairs, David Andrew, on Tuesday gave further details about the preparation, collaboration and expectations for the Games. We get more in this and more report.
We have been in touch with our principals, and they are all aware that schools are expected to be at the meet on the 7th of March at the National Stadium, at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium. And they anticipate that school's going to be there, so we anticipate they are going to be there as well.
The Ministry of Education has granted permission for participating athletes and coaches to attend the first preliminary game. They are expected to report directly to the venue for 8:30 a.m. on March 7th. Permission is also granted for staff and students of participating schools to attend in support of their teams from 9 a.m. There will be 4 preliminary zonal games prior to the first ever 2019 National Secondary School Games. Following the initial game for St. George, there will be a second zonal game at the Cuthbert Peters Park in St. John on March 13th, followed by a third at Progress Park in Grenville St. Andrew on March 22nd, and the fourth in Carriacou at the Mini Stadium also on March 22nd.
Everything is in place for the games. We've worked and collaborated with the Ministry of Youth and Sports, and they are giving technical support, and Mr. Colin Peters, he heads that team, and they've worked assiduously together with our physical education curriculum officer here at the Ministry of Education to put the technical aspect of the sports meet together. Here at Education, we've been collaborating with all of our partners to ensure that the games come off and everything is in place as far as we know. We know that some athletes will come from the schools. We expect others to come from their training clubs. We even have a couple cases of parents who have individually expressed interest in registering their students to take part in the games, and we welcome that.
The National Secondary School Games will be hosted at the Kirani James Athletic Stadium on Friday, April 5th, 2019.
We expect that all school students and the student body and the teachers would be at the zonal games from the time announced. 9 students are supposed to report to school before going to the park. We anticipate that the athletes are going to go directly to the park with their trainers or the coach or PE instructor from around 8:30, so they can get engaged in preliminary warm-up activities. And it's going to be a day of school away from the classroom, so we anticipate that all of the school fraternity would be there and support the games.
For the National Report, I'm Annette Moore.
GIS spoke with Mr. Colin Peters, Assistant Coordinator of Sports and Chair of the Committee for the National Sports Meet, and he says logistics are in place for a successful meet.
We're expecting all the schools to come out. We know that we collaborate well with the Ministry of Education to make sure they have done all that they expected in the form of getting the protocol in place. We meet with the teachers, the PE teachers, the coaches, the principals, and that it's a school day, so that falls under the responsibility. So we are expecting to execute the games technically. So I have all the officials on board. We have all the logistic layout and everything for a successful meet. We contact the Red Cross and the Ministry of Health on board, also to the police, the committee. So we are expecting the athletes that are training, the athletes that are interested in competing, to just come out and compete.
This is the National Report. We'll have more news after the break.
Big business don't participate.
Welcome back. Grenada gears up to welcome international soca monarch Hollis Mr. Killer Map and the other 4 artists who kept this country's flag flying during the Groovy and Power Soca competition. Minister for Trade, Industry, Cooperatives and CARICOM Affairs, Honorable Oliver Joseph, who facilitated Tuesday's post-cabinet briefing, said a welcome reception will be held at the airport to honor the artists on their return on Saturday. Although Mandela Lynx and Little Natty and Thunder did not secure a top spot, Minister Joseph said the artists represented well and created history for Grenada and must be recognized.
History was created. Grenada was placed on the international stage because of this outstanding performance of all. You will recall that of the 5 Grenadian finalists, we had the first place in the International Soca Monarch and the 3rd place, Mr. Legs, placed third. And in the Groovy, we also had Vaughan that placed third in the Groovy. So they all did us very proud. And the government has decided that we will have to plan some sort of ceremony activity to honor all of them. On Saturday, these artists will be coming back to Grenada. There will be a welcome reception at the airport for all 5 of the artists. And the committee has been set up by Cabinet to plan future activities to honor them.
Finally, in the news, the big winners in the 2019 Independence Competition were presented with their prizes on Tuesday. During a ceremony held immediately following the weekly post-cabinet briefing, Minister with responsibility for youth development, Honorable Kate Lewis, and Chairman of the National Celebrations Committee, John Williams, presented checks to those copying the top 3 spots in the interministerial and beautification categories. The interministerial category was won by the Prime Minister's Ministry, which received the first prize of $500, followed by the Ministry of Agriculture and Lands, which received $300, and in third place, the Ministry of Tourism and Civil Aviation, which won $200. In the beautification category, St. John captured first place, St. David in second position, and St. Patrick in third. They were awarded prizes of $1,800 and $600 respectively. That story just ended the national report for today, Tuesday, March 5th. Recapping the top story. Government announces intention of making cash contribution to LIAT by month end. On behalf of all those who made this newscast possible, I'm Rikisha St. Louis saying thank you for joining us. Until next time.
Together with you, our customers, we energize our community.
Together with you, we energize our economy. We are working together to give our nation a better tomorrow.
With you, we energize our future. Together, we energize our nation.
Thank you for partnering with us as we energize our Spice Island.
Redleg, energizing our Grenada.
With free island-wide delivery, Hubbard's Building Supplies and Lumber Departments continue to provide the best quality lumber, steel, tiles, plumbing materials, electrical and general hardware supplies at competitive prices. We continually consult with builders, homeowners and contractors to improve product range and services. Enjoy discounts where applicable, including the use of credit and debit cards. At Hubbard's Building Supplies, Grandans and Lumber Department, Caranage, we offer quality service, affordable prices, giving you the convenient, reliable, free island-wide delivery. Call 440-2087 for all your home improvement and building solutions.
Grenadian General Insurance Company, strength and stability. Grenadian General Insurance Company, tell your friends, tell your family. We cover householders comprehensive, motor and even fire too. Contractors all risk burglary, public liability, professional indemnity, directors liability, and wait, we still have more. Come and find out more what you're waiting for.
We are located on Scott Street, St. George's. For more information, call 440-2434.
Tell everybody.
All right. folks, there you have it, your national report. I see that the analysts have been busy at work during the last few minutes. So before I say good morning to Sherron, let's get back here to Facebook. Nesta says it's 15 degrees Celsius. That's out there in Zurich, Switzerland. And Nesta, I see a little airplane here. Does that mean that you're on the way to Grenada? That'd be nice. T.F. Richard says, is Mr. D. Riggs out picking grapes and golden apples? I don't know. He was here yesterday, and I do hope to see him again before he departs. I think he's leaving next Thursday, but I'm sure we'll see or hear from him. Veronica Sandy is saying good morning to everybody and sending her blessings. It's a very cold day in Brooklyn, New York. TF says, George, you must find a way to change the voice of this minister when he's speaking on your forum. He sounds so disgusting. TF, I just run the national report. I'm not calling names, but I'm sure people know who you're talking about. I just run the report. I don't compose it in any way, shape, or form. Margaret says, and this is now where you guys start getting into LIAT. Margaret says, in other words, government is going to pay for the empty seats. Yeah, yes. Mags, you got it. That's exactly it. TF says, so, you're supporting a route that has nothing to do with you? I wonder if the Osprey was running at a loss, if the government would bail them out. No. Questions from inquiring minds. Tia. He goes on to say, the government of Grenada continues to put its foot in its mouth where LIAT is concerned. It's called hoof and mouth disease. Margaret says, and what happens if the schools are not there? Can you compel the athletes to run? And they were talking here about the upcoming secondary school games. I think that's what you're referring to, Mags. Lori Bridgman says, good morning. I'm trying to understand why the same government that sells our airline is now reaching out to LIAT. Sounds fishy to me when you know who the shareholders are. Another taxpayer scam. Enough said. Cassandra Mitchell says, how many times must Caribbean governments pump millions into LIAT? There is obviously an issue of management somewhere, and someone must be held accountable. What's that word? Accountable? Is that still in the dictionary? She goes on to say, LIAT isn't a non-profit. I understand that running an airline company may be expensive, but our government must look at this carefully. The high taxes and landing fees have to be revisited as well, not only here in Grenada, but the other islands. I don't think anyone wants the airline to fail. Oh, by the way, where is our government getting the money?
My question.
Cassandra, this lady you're going to see in a minute was just asking the same question. Hey. TF says, again, George, who's fooling who? You advertise it as a national secondary school games, yet clubs can participate and parents can register their individual children? What's really going on? There are more questions than answers, Mr. Richards. Joyce E. Smith says, where is this fund coming from? When they said they had no money to pay the teachers, their pensions on retirement. This is not funny, okay? Joyce, as a result, I'm not laughing. You're right. This is not funny, but this is a question that I heard asked last night as well. Talking to some people last night, they said, "Hey, no money for the teachers, gratuity and pensions, blah 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 blah." LIAT? Okay. TF says, "But weren't we already on the international stage by these artists and others?" Referring to that piece they did on Mr. Killer. By the way, I'm still hearing about the pieces we played yesterday. Remember those pieces we played yesterday? You guys had a good laugh? Yeah. Not going to run them again today. Joyce is saying good morning. TF says, "Oh Lord, another committee again." Hey, I have heard it said, TF, that if you don't want to get something done, form a committee. You ever heard that?
That's right.
I've heard that. You hear her? She said that's right. Jennifer Myers says, "Hey George, good morning to you. Have a blessed day. Freezing here in Brooklyn. Where is spring?" Girl, it's only what? Today is the 6th of March. You're talking spring already? Hang in there. Hey, I've seen some nasty snowstorms all the way down in April. Hey? For your sake, I hope not. Thaddeus Bonaparte is saying good morning to you folks, and so is Kipling and Bernard Gilbert. All right, folks, now, take a look. Take a look. There she is, Lady Sherron. How you doing, girl?
I'm good. Real good.
You're sitting here and listening to your colleagues bumble away, eh?
Yes. And my questions are exactly what they're asking.
Yeah. Well, you know, I mean, it's so logical, and people sometimes dislike anybody who asks questions.
Mm-hmm.
But the way things are going in this country today, that there are so many questions that are just unanswered.
But
because a lot of things seem illogical.
I have an idea. The way that could really help the people is to remove all the taxes. Because when you buy a ticket, let's say in LIAT, to go somewhere, you get this interesting cost. And then you see all these taxes that the government add on. If you want to help the people, remove those taxes and let LIAT charge just the basic before you add that on. And that will help all of us.
I mentioned that, I think it was sometime this week, I mentioned that people blame LIAT for the high price of tickets, but when you break those prices down, those fares, you see how many of them are taxes.
You know, one of the reasons I was able to go to Belize when I was in Florida the other day, there's this airline called Southwest.
Yep.
You know, I paid $77 to go to Belize.
From Florida.
From Florida. You can't even pay $77 to go to Barbados from Grenada.
Yeah. I understand it's sometimes cheaper to travel to the United States from Grenada than to travel to some of the islands here.
And I could confirm that because a couple of years ago when they had the cricket, the Caribbean Premier League finals in St. Kitts, what it was costing us to get to St. Kitts from here, it was cheaper for us to buy a ticket on American and go up to Florida and fly down to St. Kitts and fly back up to Florida and to Grenada than it was to go by LIAT.
Why? I don't know. You know, there's got to be some rationale somewhere. It's just that I haven't figured it out yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Well, Sherron, first of all, let me say thank you very much for Saturday. Saturday when I arrived down at the Trade Center, my Sirocco was waiting for me, girl.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. But there's something that I have to ask you about. You know, you were pointing out some of the dishes that they had. And if I'm not mistaken, I heard you mention bride soup.
Wedding soup.
Oh, wedding soup.
Yes.
It's wedding. This thing looked like a sort of pea soup. What is it?
The base is barley.
Barley.
It's a barley soup. And at weddings they use mostly mutton. You can use, at Christmas time they use beef. And it's like Peter Martinique's official food, almost. Barley soup. If you want to see my children get excited, cook barley soup. So barley is something that I have all the time. It's something we grew up on. It's supposed to be healthier than rice and the other starches. And that's it. Barley soup. And you're supposed to make the dumplings very tiny. We call it pity dumplings.
Pity dumplings from Pity Martinique.
Yeah.
Okay, makes sense to me. Yeah.
Pity as in the French small.
Well, you know, it's something I was curious about, but two things. One, when I arrived, I started eating your stuff. Okay, that was my first. But then I also had to put the brakes on because, you know, I wanted to sample from other booths as well.
Right.
But Sherron, tell you the truth, when you mention the mutton in the wedding, what's it?
Wedding soup.
That's when I really put the brakes on. I have to be honest with you. I ain't big on mutton. I ain't big on mutton. So I thought, you know, hold your horses, George. Hold your horses.
You missed out big time.
I missed that. But what else did you guys have? I mean, we showed this stuff on Monday.
We also had they also had bakes. They had roast bakes as well as fried. I made 108 baked bakes that morning. And we have what you call farine riche, which is not very popular in Grenada, but is something that we have in Peter Martinique. It's made from shark. They use the young shark, and you boil it, and you remove the skin and the middle bone, because shark don't have a lot of bones. And you have all your seasonings, and you use coconut oil, and you squeeze the extra water out, and you just sort of scramble it.
Okay.
So that's we call farine riche. Farine means flour, and riche being shark.
Okay.
So some people say shark farine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Popular dish up there in PM.
Very popular.
All right. Hold on a sec here. I don't want to leave these people behind. Dominic Patrice says, "Good morning, Cuzzos." Cuzzos?
That's my cuz.
Yeah. Sherron, Mano, and Lincoln. I haven't seen Lincoln. Well, actually, you know, on my iPad here, I see the basic comments from Facebook. But there are usually a lot of other people who might just log on but say nothing. And those I can only see on the main computer over there. Anyhow, Kipling says, how about reversing the spelling of the name? Maybe that will help in some way. Humor. I'm not sure, Kipling. Margaret says, that's right, Sherron. In fact, intra-regional travel dropped because of the high ticket prices. I have found tickets between Trinidad and Grenada where the actual fare was $59 each way, okay? But the taxes were more than $200.
That's right.
Case closed, eh?
And when you look at the list of the things they tax you on, it's pure nonsense.
Well, the government has to find some way to make money. Some way. TF says, can you imagine if the government removed the taxes from LIAT for 2 years? We must. And then he goes on to say here, George, a quick question. Whilst listening to the forum yesterday, I remembered that there was a television show in the 80s on Grenada TV. It was entitled The Hustler. It was like a sitcom with Grenadian actors. Does anyone here remember that? Do you remember that?
I didn't live in Grenada in the 80s, so.
Okay, okay. When you came in this morning, Sherron, I said to you, okay, so what are you going to talk about this morning? And you said religion in Petit Martinique.
Right.
Let me hear you.
Now, one of the first things I want to say, I notice these days people are referring to Carriacou and Petit Martinique as a seventh parish. That bothers me.
Hold on. John is the person, John and Carriacou started this thing about the seventh parish. Because he lives in Carriacou, and he was referring to Carriacou as the seventh parish, because he felt that Carriacou was always being left out.
That's true. I agree with that. But according to the Constitution, Carriacou and Petit Martinique are dependencies of Grenada.
That's right.
They're not a parish.
Okay.
So before it gets out of hand and get popular and people start thinking that there's 7 parishes, we have 6 parishes and 2 dependencies. And the reality is we have a lot more islands with people on them than just Carriacou and Petit Martinique. Some of my relatives were born on Aileron. So I know that people were born on Aileron.
Okay.
Petit Martinique used to be 99.9% Catholic.
Used to be?
Used to be. Recently, in the last 20 years or so, other religions started coming in and would go walk about and bad talk the Catholic Church. And as soon as anybody come and they start to bad talk another religion, I cut it immediately. I respect people's choice of religion. I was brought into the Catholic Church by my parents, and I chose to remain in the Catholic Church because the reality is the more you search, the more disillusioned you become about religion. And I personally do not, I would go to any church that somebody would, almost any church that somebody invite me to. But if you ask me, I would tell you I'm a Catholic. But where religion is concerned, and when you take so many things into consideration, religion cannot get you anywhere. Your personal relationship with God is what is important.
Thank you.
And to what I normally say, to each his own. I don't hold with people who come and try to tell me, oh, you shouldn't be celebrating birthdays. That's pagan and stuff like that. I tell you, get lost. I respect your belief, but don't come to sell it with me. The interesting thing I noticed, because I was coordinator for Petit Martinique Affairs. I ran the affairs of the island for the government for almost 10 years, about 2 months shy of 10 years. And the people who join other religions, like for example on a Saturday you see a few of them go to church, and the people would come up to Petit Martinique on a Saturday to have mass, to have church or whatever, to keep service. And the next day you see the same people coming back to church. And I asked one lady one time, I said, I thought you went and you were baptized in that other church. She said, yes. I said, how come you're coming to church today? She said, I just go there to have something to do. But on Sunday she come to church as usual. And I thought, I wonder if these people really believe and understand what it is to belong to another religion. I don't think they do. So Pittermartnick, in my parents' days, they had no tolerance whatsoever for other religions. And they refuse to let anybody come. And if you come to the island and you start to talk religion, they tell you to go. But the interesting thing is my grandmother, my mother's mother, she hailed from Beckway. She was not a Catholic, but she went to the Catholic Church. And that is where I saw a Bible for the first time. She actually had a podium in her house, and the Bible was there. You would go and find it open on the reading that she did for the day. And I asked her one time, I said, we call her Mammy. I said, I thought Catholics are not allowed to read the Bible. And that's when I found out she wasn't a Catholic. She said, I'm not a Catholic. I said, but you go to church. She said, yes, because I'm looking for community, and that's the only church on the island. And she allowed us to read her Bible. The first, and it was a huge, big Jerusalem Bible. You know? So, Pittermartnick people, I would say that they're very religious because they still kneel and pray. I still kneel and pray. So many times I lie down and I said, God, and I start to pray, and I get up and I get on my knees, and sometimes I say, what is this? And that is when I believe that is when you're closest to your Maker. When you get on your knees, when something really hurts you and touch your heart, that is when you get on your knees. And today, this morning, when I got up, the first thing that hit me, today is the first day of Lent. I went to St. Joseph's Convent, and we used to be told at one stage that you give up something for Lent. And people would ask you, what you giving up for Lent? And I encountered this nun. She was from Ireland. Sister Philomena Horan was her name. And Sister Philomena said to us, this thing about giving up thing for Lent, give up something if you want, but what I want you to do is to take up something for Lent. Go to the hospital and visit the sick. She said a lot of people in hospital don't have anybody to come visit them. Go to the prison and ask permission to see someone who have no visitors. Go to the homes, read for the children. She said that is what you do for Lent. Pick up something for Lent. Go and visit one of your old family that alone, that you don't seem to have time for. Make the time. And that is what I would like to share today. Make the time to go and visit somebody who is lonely.
Don't just talk about your religion, do something.
Yes, do something about it. No matter what your religion, instead of spending time bad talking other people and harassing people, do something. Even if it's just for the 40 days.
Veronica Sandy here on social media says, so true. People must respect one another and the choice they make. Church doesn't save you. God does.
Exactly.
Hey, Veronica, thank you. You know, when you look at me, Sherron, I was raised in the Catholic Church as well. And I wanted to be a priest. I don't know if you know that, but I wanted to be a priest at one time. And then, for some reason, once I became a teenager, I decided, I want to learn to fly airplanes. So that's what I went.
I wanted to be a nun. I actually entered at Aruka Convent in Trinidad.
Okay, yeah. And something you mentioned a little while ago that just brought back a lot of memories. You know, when I was a kid, we were discouraged from reading the Bible. We were discouraged. And I think that's something I will never, ever forget. Nowadays, I don't have a religion per se. The closest thing to me is my God, and He lives in my heart.
Exactly.
I read the Bible every day. I do it right here on the air as well. And the relationship with God is it's a one-on-one thing. This thing about, repeating certain things that you're told to repeat, certain prayers that you're supposed to, the Bible tells us, don't do that. Don't be repetitive, And sometimes people think that the longer you pray, the more words you say, the more you get God attention. Joke you make it. No. He says what? Some people do that in the marketplace to attract attention.
That's right. And today, the reading for today was just that. You see, when you pray in private.
Thank you.
And whatever you do for somebody, don't even let your right hand know what your left hand doing. When you give alms, you're not supposed to go and stand up on the corner and preach it. Hit your chest, I was so good, I did this, I did that. Hello.
Margaret says, Sherron, you're so right. So many people are lonely and have no one, especially those in homes and at the hospital.
That's right.
Then Benedict Cador here says, I am a Catholic. I was never discouraged to read the Bible. Good for you, Benedict.
He must be very young.
You must be very young, Benedict. Been there, my friend. Done that. I can tell you. Okay, girl. Looks like we're out of time, Always so interesting talking to you.
Short and sweet.
Short and sweet, to the point. Thanks a lot, Sherron. And I don't know what sort of mischief you're going to get into between now and when we get together next Wednesday.
What date is next Wednesday?
Well, today is the 6th. The next Wednesday will be the 13th.
Today is the 6th. Tomorrow is one of my son's birthday.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Happy birthday, son. Sherron's son.
That's my number 4 son. I have 5 sons and 1 daughter.
Look at that
So my 4th son.
4 sons?
Hey, my first son is going to be 40 this year.
Excuse me?
Yeah, my first son is going to be 40.
So you must be pushing 80?
I am 63. I'm going to be 64 on the 8th of July.
So wait a minute. I'm 67. I could have a 40-year-old? Wow!
How you mean? Of course you could have had a 40-year-old son.
Wow.
Yes.
Thanks a lot, Sherron. God bless you, my friend. Have a great week, and we'll
You
see you next
too.
week by God's grace.
Blessings.
Okay?
Bye-bye.
All right. Don't go yet. Just hang in there for a sec. We're going to take another little break here, and then we will come on back. All right, folks, just before we pull the plug here, there's a little note here on Facebook from Kipling. Kipling is saying, thank you, miss, for making my birthday a good one. Kipling, is it your birthday? Happy birthday, Kipling. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Kipling. Happy birthday to you. I'm going to stick to my daytime job. Just before we go, one inspirational word here now from the Holy Scriptures. Galatians chapter 5, verses 19 to 23. I know this is going to rub some people the wrong way, but check it out yourselves in the Holy Scriptures. The acts of the flesh are obvious: sexual immorality, impurity and debauchery, idolatry and witchcraft, hatred, discord, jealousy, fits of rage, self-ambition, dissensions, factions, and envy, drunkenness, orgies, and the like. I warn you, as I did before, that those who live like this will not inherit the kingdom of God. Pilgrims, check it out yourself. Galatians 5, 19 to 23. On that note, Georgie Porgy is going to go feed his face. Kipling says, thanks, Mr. Grant. So I guess it is his birthday. And Veronica Sandy says, amen. Hey, Veronica, you know what we're talking about, eh? Sherron, thank you so much for joining us. And folks, by God's grace, we'll see you tomorrow morning, same time, 9 o'clock.